What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about that post-anabolic rebound window after the competition that I'm entering right now, and what we can do to actually maximize that to the best of our advantage without getting fat. I mean, we're going to get fatter, but we don't want to get fat. You're going to gain fat after a show. There's no way you're going to be as peeled as I was and then gain 20 pounds and not put on any fat. That's just how it works. The idea is you want to minimize the fat as you gain the muscle. Now, I probably did diet some muscle off. I did sacrifice muscle in order to get to that conditioning. So the first thing that's going to happen is a muscle memory. Let's shut this message off. Muscle memory will go ahead and rebuild that muscle a little faster than the first time that you put it on. So you're going to gain that muscle back faster. So we obviously want to get that back as fast as we possibly can so the body continues to slingshot and rebound past the muscle that we regained to gain new muscle. Even if it's a pound or two of new muscle tissue, in 4 or 5 weeks, that is a hell of a lot of muscle tissue to put on and can drastically change the look of your body, because that 1 or 2 pounds has now got more glycogen in it and more water, and it gives you a fuller, rounder appearance that can totally change the look of your body. So it's important to control this thing and get the most out of it, because you're just wasting an opportunity if you don't. So the first thing we want to talk about with these things is I'm adding carbs back into my diet, which I was very void of before. And carbs use insulin. They spike insulin. That's how it works. The carbohydrates eaten, it's broken down into glucose or blood sugar, whatever you want to call it, and it's shuttled from the blood into the muscles and the fat cells by insulin. Now, insulin's a very powerful hormone. It is one of the hormones responsible for muscle growth because it does shove everything in the muscle cell where the growth takes place. Now, too much insulin is bad. Or if you're not sensitive to your insulin, you're insulin insensitive, that's bad too. It's like you're building up an insulin tolerance that your insulin receptors can't utilize the insulin anymore, so you're actually wasting it, and a lot of it gets stored as fat as opposed to being used in the muscle. So you don't want to have, right now, because I was on a low carbohydrate, no carbohydrate diet, I'm very insulin sensitive. So that means I'm able to gain the muscle back without putting on a whole lot of fat because my insulin receptors are clear and clean and ready to rock. But at the same time, I went from 0 carbs per meal, now I got to go up to like 25 per meal as many times as I'm hungry per day. So my body may say, it's a little more than we're used to handling. We could use a little bit of help on how to transport this stuff. Now, glucose disposal agents are things that mimic insulin. Okay, they help your body utilize carbohydrates and give your pancreas a little bit of a break and give your receptors a little bit of a break while helping shuttle nutrients into the muscles, or into the fat cells, but more than likely into the muscles. Okay, that's where we want them to go. So, vanadyl sulfate was a big one in the 90s, which EAS had V2G. Bill Phillips came up with that. SoPharma came out with vanadyl pH, which was a pH-balanced vanadyl sulfate, and it was a derivative of vanadium, which is a mineral. Now, the vanadium can be toxic. Some people were really freaked out by the fact that the toxicity could fuck you up, so they didn't push the envelope with the vanadyl, and as Dan Duchaine discovered, you had to use a lot of it to get that insulin-mimicking effect. So it kind of fell out of grace, and people just didn't really, continue to use it, so it stopped being produced. I mean, you can probably still find it here and there, but it's not very popular anymore. And another one you can get available in Mexico over the counter. It's called Glucophage or Metformin. It's a prescription glucose disposal agent which will help your body. It's for type 2 diabetics who their bodies are having a hard time processing the sugar, but they still produce insulin. So it gives the pancreas a break, and it doesn't utilize insulin to move those carbohydrates and blood sugar into the muscle cells, the receptors. It uses another way. Now, both of my parents are type 2 diabetics, so of course, I got to play with this stuff at some point, all right? And it doesn't work like insulin. So it's not an insulin pill, which some people think it is. I do think that everyone in the world, whether you're diabetic or not, if you're on a high carbohydrate diet, high sugar diet, have issues with obesity, diabetics, stuff like that, should be on like a course at least twice a year of this stuff to give your body a break. It will resensitize your insulin receptors. So it's like building up a tolerance. So your insulin receptors build up a tolerance. They get tolerant to all the insulin being pushed, and they downregulate. So now what happens? It's like drinking beer. You go out for 2 months drinking beer. It takes you half a case of beer to get drunk. Stop for 3 weeks. You go back to 2 beers and get drunk again. The alcohol receptors upregulate again. It's the same thing. Your insulin receptors upregulate, and they don't have a tolerance anymore. So this would give your body a chance to function normally like it was when you were younger if you were taking this glucophage or metformin for a period of time, then stopping and going back to what you were doing. Your body would produce a better reaction to the food you're eating. Now, that aside, this is just my opinion, what I think people should do. But the one that I use during the rebound is cinnamon extract. Check it out, cinnamon extract, okay? Now, there's a lot of debate as to what in the cinnamon actually works. So a lot of people say it's chromium picolinate, which it also does have an effect on blood sugar and mimics some insulin to a certain point. I don't give a shit what is in it. I just know it works. So 2 tablets 3 times a day while I'm in that anabolic rebound is what I'm going to use to make sure that I harness the fact that if my body's not utilizing insulin the right way for whatever reason, this is going to help pick up the slack and do a little bit on the side. Now, it's not a miracle product. It's not going to all of a sudden make you a giant, jacked up monster ready for the IFBB pros, but it helps. Every little bit helps. If there's a little chance that, a 0.00% chance that this could help me gain a pound of muscle, do you know what a pound of muscle looks like on a frame in 4 weeks? You got that solid pound of lean body mass that you put on, which now has more water, more glycogen, it's fuller, and it's not like you got a pound here. It's like evenly distributed throughout your body. You look drastically different after a month of 1 pound. And if this can help doing it for $7, I don't give a shit. I'm going to take it. So the idea is, if you're coming from a summer shredding diet, going into your off-season bulk, you're going to have that window opportunity like I did post-competition. If you're coming off a show and you're going to off-season, you're going to have that opportunity of the window there. It's an opportunity. Don't lose it. It's a huge chance to gain muscle back that you've lost when you're dieting, which everybody does, and even gain a little bit more, which any muscle you gain at any time in a short period of time, why the fuck wouldn't you do it anyways? And if cinnamon can help you do it, do it. If you are type 2 diabetic and you do have the glucophage, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 milligrams per day will get the job done. As you go into your off season and you're out of the anabolic rebound phase, now instead of 2 tablets 3 times a day, 2 tablets a day in the morning, and you'll note a lot. You'll note, and I swear to God, this is true. I've talked to a couple of bodybuilders, national level guys who are in the top 2 in the national level right now. Guys that use fucking tons of gear, tons of shit, all kinds of stuff. They won't fucking diet and train without cinnamon. How fucked up is that? $7. That's how strongly they believe in it. They will take cinnamon over glucophage, which is a drug, any day, and they swear the fact that they can eat more food and do more cardio and not lose as much muscle mass. So it's worth trying. I use it all the time. Whether it works wonders or not for you, hey, everybody's different, but I'd rather take a chance and have it do nothing for $7 than miss the chance and not even have tried it. BioStraining@gmail.com. I'm BioStraining, and I approve this message, and we're out.